Hello, Sovereign Engineers. Michelle King with Michelle King Coaching and the Magic King Center. Thanks for joining me today. We've got the 4th of July, Independence Day coming up here in the United States, and I thought I would share a quick mastery tip with you guys in honor of Independence Day, and really the invitation for you to explore that being any day and every day. And ultimately that relationship with independence and freedom and what that represents to you. So oftentimes I know from personal experience, I was super indecisive in the past. I didn't know what I wanted. I had a feeling about what I wanted, but it was really hard for me to make a decision because there were so many, opportunities. And I'm like, oh man, I could see opportunity in everything, but to really be clear and concise and say, yes, this is the direction, this is what I want, was a bit of a struggle for me. So as it relates to independence and freedom, that could also mean liberating yourself from indecision or liberating yourself from inner conflict, this consistent, battle or experience of passive aggressive behavior, right? I'm not going to make a decision, but then I'll beat myself up about it. So that inner, conflict within yourself, and it's so draining. Consider the energetic resources required to remain in indecision or to remain in inner conflict. And so, with these metaphysical tools and principles, we get to apply them and liberate ourselves through expanded consciousness by merging with our soul nature. So by understanding our human in nature, we can do that through disciplining of the mind, all things I've talked about in previous videos. But for today, in this mastery tip, I wanted to, again, invite you to explore what independence represents to you in some area of your life. Most likely it's an area where you're currently experiencing a transition, or you're seeing in the 3D, you're seeing in the reality where something is changing, needs to change, is calling you to change, where it can be quite devastating, where the reality is crumbling and you're like, whoa, something's shifting here. And, how you're asking yourself, how do I remain stable? How do I remain clear? How do I tune into, what it is I really want so I can take inspired action in alignment? So in order to be able to do that, I want you to really sit with what independence looks and feels like to you. What does freedom represent to you? And get really clear about that. It's kind of like a ship setting out to sea without a destination. It's just going to drift, right? So if you're feeling stuck, or if you're feeling like you're kind of like waiting for a sign or waiting for something, I'm going to tell you, like, stop wasting your time, stop wasting your precious energy, and trust that those inspired impulses that you're feeling, the knowings that you have of what's being called forth within you, is in alignment with your direction. It's going to be very specific and unique to you. So, the more that you can sit with that, that's like the calm and the chaos. Can you be the center of the storm where it's so quiet and you can watch the world spin around you, but you are seated in like absolute presence and at this absolute center of your being, and connect with what really wants to emerge? It's like the perfect storm, right? So when all the debris clears, what is it that you want to see? And all of this, as you know, begins in consciousness. So change begins in consciousness. You are being invited right now to tune into that quality within yourself as it relates to independence, as it relates to liberating yourself, as it relates to freedom within yourself. So this mastery tip is to invite you to explore that in writing. I know we've used song and music in other videos to kind of like harmonate, resonate, immerse yourself in the energy and information of that. But now it's really about the story? What can you, what potential do you want to choose to physicalize, right? So there's limitless potentials of realities. You can do no wrong, right? It's just about getting clear about what you want and really aligning with that heart energy and then claiming it and then deciding, right? So you can't have one foot in the old world and one foot in the new world and expect that to be stable. It's going to rock. And eventually, if you have like a destruction or a tower moment in your life, which ultimately means change, where your reality is crumbling, then it's time to make a quantum leap into the new world. Again, it's your choice. But when you do make that choice, it's like entering in the destination of your GPS system when you're out to sail. So then you can start to move in that direction. And that GPS system is your reliable resource, your intuition that's there to guide you every step of the way. Okay. And that's part of the evolutionary process. But first, you have to, in consciousness, first get in tune with the quality of your destination, where you're moving to, what you're inspired to experience in your life. And that begins internally. So if it's freedom, if it's liberation, if it's independence, it's feeling that first and creating that reality within yourself so that it can be physicalized. And we're just going to do an exercise here where you write that out. That's the first step. So writing out a potential reality in the present moment as if it's happening now. What is your life like in the energy and information of freedom? What is it like in the energy and information of being able to liberate yourself from limits? Ongoing, you're fluent in that alchemical process. What is it like to experience true freedom and be that in the present moment? What does that look like? What are you saying to yourself? What do you see when you look in the mirror? What is it like, going shopping at the grocery store? How do you hold yourself? What is it that, you're focused on in life? Who are your friends? Who's in your network? And, how do you talk to money? What do you say to yourself when you look at your bank account? How do you feel in work? And how do you know that you're truly fulfilled? What is that expression, that creative intelligence that wants to emerge? How does that reveal itself to you that you are truly in alignment with fulfillment? And let your creative intelligence move through you. Try not to super strategize. I got to do this, I got to do that, make it all right and perfect. See if you can play, just set yourself up for success in that regard. Music, candles, presence. How can you be so present with yourself in this experience and exploration to map out a potential reality? Ultimately, you get to choose. So if this one you write out, you're not so sure about, write another one, and then maybe write 3. And then from those 3, you get to feel into which one is in most alignment for you. So that's to help you get really clear, because the power of the sovereign is clear, discerning, and takes inspired action in alignment with their truth. So you got to know what that truth is, what that destination is. Even if you don't have all the details, that's okay. Plug it in. Plug in that destination. As soon as you do, you will start to move. I promise you. So I'd be super curious to hear what all you are navigating, what you are destined. That's by choice, like destiny, destination, what you are choosing to experience in this limitless world of absolute potential, and to be excited, enthusiastic about it, right? Wow, if my intuition is telling me this, if I had a dream about, one day doing this or being this or experiencing this, wow, can I allow myself, give myself absolute permission to explore what that might feel like? And guess what? Your ability to merge with that is just like how close you are to that reality happening for you. So remember to liberate yourself from the limits of what you might create for yourself, and even clarifying and deciding on that destination. Okay, so be really curious to hear what independence and freedom and the ability to liberate yourself represents to you on an internal basis, and how that can be expressed on an external reality, so to speak. All right. Thanks so much for joining me. I hope this was helpful. Have fun with it. Celebrating you and your path to personal freedom, joy, fulfillment, vitality, wellness, and whole being. Remember, you are the source of your love, power, and truth. And I invite you to join me on the 25th for that Soul Immersion Masterclass coming up on conscious uncoupling the value of relationships, bridging breakups, breakdowns, and breakthroughs through the elements of transformation for evolutionary wellness. And remember, this applies to love, to business, to home, to anything in your life where you're experiencing major change and transformation. So thanks again for joining me today. I wish you well, and feel free to reach out at nkingcoaching@gmail.com. Thanks again.